Hi, thanks for tuning in to Kitchen Spoons and Combat Boots. I'm Jessie Smith, and today I'm talking with Brigadier General Hank Harder, who is the Deputy Adjutant General. Thank you for joining me today.
You bet. Good morning.
Thank you. All right, so let's just dive right in. So I've got some leadership questions for you, and then we're going to move on to some fun seasonal questions.
Sounds great.
What leadership qualities do you believe are essential?
Great question. The cornerstone is integrity. If you don't have integrity, then everything else doesn't really matter, honestly. So you have to have integrity. And then beyond that, a deep caring for the folks that you're working with and leading. And so in our case, the soldiers and airmen of the National Guard and their families. So you've got to have their best interests in mind in everything you do. And we've heard this phrase, I think, a lot around military and military families, but it rings true, is people first and people first, mission always. And that's kind of what drives me. Beyond that, you have to be able to listen to the folks around you. If you feel like you've got all the answers, then that's going to be a challenge as well. So I would say integrity, and then a deep caring for the well-being of the folks you're working with and leading, and then the drive and the knowledge and the teamwork to get the mission done.
I love that answer. Absolutely. How do you approach decision-making when faced with adversity?
Another great question, and I think all of us at all levels face that. Some of it is going back to your baseline training and your experience. And that's a human condition, right? When faced with a challenge or a decision, you're going to go back to what you know. And that's what we're really good at in the U.S. military, the training piece, both on the Army and the air side, and all of our services. But it's in a dynamic environment out there, and we're all faced with situations that you didn't get in the schoolhouse, if you will. And you have to rely upon the people around you and your best judgment. And then you've got to make a decision. And so one path towards outcomes that maybe aren't the best is trying to get all the data or information you need to make that decision. Because sometimes, and particularly in dynamic situations, which our soldiers and airmen find themselves in, is time is of the essence in some of those. And so you have to build your knowledge base the best you can with the available time, trust your team, and then make a decision. Sometimes that decision isn't the popular one, but if you feel in your heart that you've built your knowledge base to the best of your ability, and you know you've got to move out and make a decision, then you'll be on solid ground.
Yeah, that's great. It goes right back to that what's right isn't always easy and what's easy isn't always right. How do you manage to stay approachable as a leader?
And Jess, that's another really solid question. For me, honestly, that is not a challenge. I am a people person. I enjoy getting to know the folks around me, both in the work environment and then outside. I'm an extrovert. I think a lot of us have done some of those personality tests, and I come out on that in terms of somebody that sometimes you don't find them in their office because they're out in the hallway actually talking to folks. And so it's honestly a natural quality I think I have to be approachable, and that's been told to me both in writing and with people. That doesn't mean it's just one piece of it, right? So that part comes naturally to me. I do think there are folks that, we all have different personalities. So some and a colleague of mine, actually, it's Brigadier General retired Steve Lambrick. He can be an intimidating character once you first know him. Pretty stoic. He's a really good listener, so he's on receive a lot, which is a good thing. So sometimes you have to crack that exterior, but once you get to know him, and he served in the Marine Corps and then the Guard for well over 20 years. You find a person that has a great sense of humor and all that. So for me, it's also just asking a question, how are you today? What's going on with your family? And not going right to business. And I think, everybody wants to talk about themselves and share some of what drives them. So, asking questions too is a good part of being approachable.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. All right. What is one common leadership mistake that you have seen or made?
You bet. Yeah, there's been a lot of those. Hopefully not too many. I think it's the my way or the highway type attitude. If a leader, when presented with information that maybe their initial decision or path or strategy maybe not be the best one, to have the humility to say, listen, this is what I thought might have been a great course of action, but now my team is telling me that maybe, course of action B that I hadn't thought of as the best one. And having the maturity to know, we don't have all the answers. None of us do. And that's why, we're such a team environment, whether we're here at work or at home. And so I see that as the pitfall is if we have a lot of really capable people and leaders, but if you think you've got all the answers, I would postulate that you're mistaken. That you've got to take the information that you're surrounded with, take the information that your team has given you, and then move out, like we said before. But you never have all the answers.
That reminds me of my husband and I have this quote. It's basically our family slogan at this point now, but it's "We rise by lifting others." And that just reminded me so much of that, because it's really, making your team shine and listening to what everybody has to say. So I love that answer. Like, I would agree 1,000%. How would you describe the culture in the organization?
Yeah, the culture of the organization that I lead, and I'm fortunate now to be in this joint position, being General Knight's deputy, to working with the Army Guard as much as the Air Guard. My military job is the Assistant Adjutant General Air and the commander of the Air Guard side. So I know that. I know more of that, but I've certainly been here enough years to know the joint environment that we have two great organizations in the Vermont Army Guard and Air Guard. I'll first speak to really a point of pride on the Air Guard side. I would say that over the years, and I've now in my 36th year of serving and 100% with the Vermont Air National Guard and this organization, that it's one common theme when people come to Vermont is we have a culture of welcoming our visitors and being really prideful about what we have here, but doing it in a way that's not boastful. And people take notice of that. And that's one thing, certainly on both the Army and the Air Guard side, when we get to showcase the 158th Fighter Wing or the Army Mountain Warfare School, pretty quickly people recognize that they may have a soldier or airman in front of them with a lot of stripes and a lot of ribbons, but there's a human being underneath, and it's a competent humility that we bring, and it's part of Vermont too, right? This beautiful New England state that we're really proud of, and all proud to live here. And I know some of our soldiers and airmen come from long distances to be part of the culture we have, and I think that is a real point of pride. I know it is for Major General Knight and all the senior leaders up and down the ranks. Is people bypass many other Guard units to serve in this organization. And why is that? It's because it's a healthy culture. Is it perfect? No, it's something you got to keep working on, like so many things in life. But it is really, I think, our force multiplier in Vermont, that both the Air National Guard and the Army Guard, we have a culture that, like you said, Jess, lifts everybody up, support each other and in good times and bad, and get the mission done. Yeah,
I would agree. All right, now we're moving on to the fun stuff. All right, what are your holiday traditions, Thanksgiving or Christmas?
So we have a lot of them in both my family, the Harder family, and then my wife's maiden name is Borak, and she grew up in Florida. I grew up in Connecticut, so I'll always be a Flatlander, even though I've been in Vermont since the mid 80s.
This is true.
Yes,
Sorry.
One tradition with Christmas for us that was started by my father and mother, which I grew up with, is on Christmas morning, before you come down to see if Santa has come and visited your house, we would do a parade. And so my father led that parade, and now I do. And so we start at the top of the stairs, and we sing Jingle Bells. And normally I put on some sort of humorous costume, a bathrobe and a funny hat, and I've even had a military web belt, with a canteen, and we march through the house, avoiding the living room where the presents may or may not be, and
Right.
And all singing multiple versions of Jingle Bells, and when the little ones are little, this can be frustrating, but also humorous because there's a lot of anticipation of seeing what may await them. So that's one of the traditions that we have in our home. And then the general, Thanksgiving is probably my favorite holiday because it's such a uniquely American holiday, and you're just bringing different elements of your family, whether you travel to other elements of your family or you're hosting. It is just a time of joy and a time to step back, and then enjoy a lot of really yummy food too.
Yeah, food is always good. And that sounds like a hilarious and fun Christmas tradition. So
Yeah, and we have videos of too, which I won't release because they, that could be posted, and then that's all I would talk about. But it's a lot of fun.
It'd be the next National Lampoons.
There you go.
Okay. What is your favorite Thanksgiving food?
Boy, there is a lot. There's a lot to choose from there, and I also love different families' traditions of what they mix in with the traditional turkey. I would say that the various presentations of the potatoes, whether the really nice buttery mashed potatoes that kind of come along with the meal, and then I also really like the different variations of stuffing. There's stuffing that's cooked in the bird, in the turkey, and then there's stuffings that can be separate to that. But if I had, obviously the turkey is always good, and the tryptophan, and then falling asleep to the football game after the meal. But I would have to go with the potatoes and the stuffing.
All right, yeah, I'm with you on the potatoes. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Would you rather cook the entire Thanksgiving meal yourself or do all the dishes alone?
This is another great question, Jess, and I think a lot of your listeners can identify with that. I will tell you that this is an answer of capability for me. Is I have no capability to cook the whole meal myself, so I'm faced with the dishes. Although when my wife was traveling one year, I was responsible for the chicken, and it came out okay. But I guess my answer would be. One option you didn't give is teamwork, getting everybody involved in the cooking and the dishes. And so I'm sometimes more limited on the cooking piece, but dishes is my forte. Although I'm not speedy, I do a lot of them.
They're clean after.
Yes, they're clean.
Okay. What are you thankful for?
Oh, gosh. So much. Certainly family, healthy family, and the place we live here. Like I said, in Vermont. I mean, I can't think of a place I would rather live. Our 4 seasons, and we just have so much that we can do here in Vermont. And then, the folks I work with, honestly, I've been doing this for, 35 and a half years because it's the people that keeps bringing you back. And certainly the missions are challenging, and it's a really important job we do both on the federal side, and then when we get called up, so when we get called up to by the governor to assist our fellow Vermonters, it's an incredibly important job we do. So I'm thankful for the people that are around me, and they're so competent. And every day you come into work, whether it's kind of a normal Thursday coming into the office or going back to Tropical Storm Irene in 2011, where all hands on deck, and you're out there helping our fellow Vermonters. And we just have so much capability in the Guard, because not only do we bring the capability of the jobs we're trained for, whatever those jobs are on the air side or the Army side, but for our heart and soul, our traditional Guardsmen, our M-Day soldiers, they bring all that experience from whatever they do in the civilian world, and that really gives you two soldiers, two airmen in one. Often when you're out there helping our fellow Vermonters in a time of need, so I'm thankful for all of those things.
Excellent. If you could have one famous person, dead or alive, to Thanksgiving dinner, who would it be and why?
This person popped into my nugget right when you asked it, and it would be Teddy Roosevelt. Former, president. He had such a rich and colorful life. I've done a little bit of reading on Theodore Roosevelt, but here was a person that, when they in childhood, had a lot of illness and maladies to deal with, and he faced those head on, and it's a really good lesson in doing the best you can with what you got. And obviously a huge intellect, but he became a really focal point person in our history, both before he was president and then in his presidency and then afterwards. So if I could have Thanksgiving dinner with Teddy Roosevelt, that would be one interesting one, because he could tell us about hunting trips. He could tell us about the Spanish-American War. He could tell us about New York State politics, and all of those things would be interesting. So Teddy Roosevelt would be my vote.
That's a great choice. All right, now I'm super excited about this question. Would you rather get chased by a wild turkey or a wild reindeer?
Wow. I would just have to say, based on size, I have been chased by a turkey before, but reindeer, when I think of the reindeer and the antlers they have, I'd have to go with a turkey. They can be quite a formidable opponent, I can tell you. But I'd have to go with a turkey just based on size.
Reasonable.
Okay.
Reasonable. All right, so that's all the questions that I have. But is there anything else that you want to share with our viewers? Yeah,
I just would like to say first a thank you to all the soldiers and airmen and the families out there. We are all really busy, and I know General Knight and I and the rest of the leadership team appreciate each and every day what you do, both behind the scenes and what we do that is more front facing. And then, going into the holidays, that can be a challenging time for all of us. So please, use your wingman, as we say in the Air Force. Try not to suffer through problems alone. We have so many resources these days in the National Guard to be of help. So enjoy the holidays. It's easy to say, harder to do, to take time for yourself and those around you that you love. But if you're facing challenges, ask for help. And enjoy yourselves. This is a great time of year. The weather is challenging. Be careful on the roads, especially those flatlanders on I-89, like I used to be. And take it slow and enjoy yourselves. And life's too quick to let it pass by. So thank you for what you do. It's an honor to be your Deputy Adjutant General, and this has been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for joining me. And for those of you watching, stay tuned for our next guest. I'm here with Command Sergeant Major Tom Kontos, asking him some questions. Thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
I gave you so much choice.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad we're doing this now, not a week from now.
Yes. All right, let's dive right in.
Okay.
So first, what leadership qualities do you believe are essential?
Leadership qualities that I believe are essential. I think the first one is being open, like being approachable, And what I mean by open and approachable is I like when soldiers walk up to me and actually talk to me about anything. And sometimes I have to prompt them. So usually my prompt is, I've seen you before. And they're like, oh, where? And then usually they tell me. And that's not where I saw them. But that's kind of like the icebreaker. And then usually a lot of times they start talking to me about something that's on their mind that I might have seen them on a list for, whether it's bad or good. Usually they kind of steer the conversation. And I like that because it really reflects what's on their mind, not what's on my mind. And I think being approachable and you get that feedback. And I like to wander around the formations. A lot of times people say, I think I saw him, which is how I like to do things. And at the end of the day, I learn a lot about the Guard, the soldier, and their families just by kind of being present and doing that. So that's I kind of strive for that, really. Yeah. I know a lot of things about a lot of people. So good and bad.
That's good.
Yeah.
How do you approach decision making when faced with adversity?
Oh, that's a good one. Faced with adversity, decision-making faced with adversity. Usually I take a pretty calm approach. A lot of times I say, so what? And that usually takes people a step back. And usually I let the facts kind of present itself or the problem presents itself. And usually it's kind of solving itself as this information's coming at me or as things are coming in. I think my famous line is, that's so important that we'll deal with that tomorrow. And everyone's like, what? All that does is buy time. And I think by buying time, it gives everyone a chance to take a step back, let the facts kind of come in, let the situation develop. And usually the right answer does present itself. And then we can move forward. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the next day we're like, hey, what happened? And you're like, it's on fire. But usually by then, there's steps taken in place to put out the fire, for it. But most of the time I realize that it's so important we can do it tomorrow. And some people take that as in like, great, that's a breath of fresh air. We take a step back. Other people approach it as in, oh, he doesn't care. I do care. But I think sometimes when we react, you're reacting over and over and over versus if we just waited, maybe we could do it right the first time.
Yeah. So you've touched on this a little bit in the first one, but how do you manage to stay approachable as a leader?
Yeah. Well, getting out of the office, I find excuses to basically not be in the office, which is great. But it's the effort. I remind myself that the lowest ranking soldier was me, like 36 years ago. And what's on his mind, or her mind? What's going on? And, they're afraid to approach you because our structure and just, positions and things like that. And there was some sergeant majors in my career that, for some reason, they knew me. And I look back at it, they didn't know me. They knew my name tag. And they had something that they wanted to see me about or hear about. But it wasn't just me. It could have been any of the soldiers. But I try to model myself after that because I remember them and I realized how important that was when, sergeant major or first sergeant or someone came around and said, hey, I heard you did really well on the PT test the other day. And I'm thinking how did he know that? He didn't know that. But that was his icebreaker, right? And next thing you know, I'm talking to him about whatever I did, So, I make a big effort, for that. So.
What is one common leadership mistake that you have seen or made?
Well, I'll get back to my taking a pause and waiting for tomorrow. I've seen over and over that a problem gets presented, and what we do is we solve the problem right then and there. And that's good, right? We got information that came in, and we needed to make a decision. Bang, we made it. But then maybe an hour later, it changes. And then again, it changes. And then again, it changes. And what happens with the troops is they don't respond, I think, effectively anymore by knowing there's multiple changes coming because we reacted. I like saying, hey, in a perfect world with no constraints, what would you do? And then they start giving me the problems. I was like, those are the constraints. I said, no constraints. In a perfect world, what would we do? Mm-hmm. And you get some really good answers sometimes.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, then why can't we make that happen? and then sometimes the reasons come in. But a lot of times, it's like if we operate in that environment of, I'm an optimist. I mean, you know me. Some really creative solutions come out, because sometimes I think we focus on the negative reasons why we can't do something. That produces a result. Versus if we focus on the positive things, it produces a result. I think that positive result is usually a lot more beneficial. And then let the constraints hit it, and then we can modify it.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so I know that you're fairly new to being the Sergeant Major for RTI.
Yes.
But how would you describe the culture in RTI?
Well, the culture of RTI, it's like a lot of units I've been. I walk into a unit very optimistic, and I think that breeds other people that are optimistic as well. So walking into RTI, I always say, let's have some fun. We should have fun at work every single day. I mean, we spend a majority of our lives with each other doing whatever this job is. So I've had a great time. I hope other people have had a great time. I think the culture of RTI is everyone really is enjoying it, because they train soldiers, and that's what we do. So the R print is really nice. Here's the plan, and then how do we react to it? How do we respond to it? Because we have to be here. So are we grumpy and miserable, or are we taking a step back saying, hey, this is great, we're having fun?
Yeah.
So.
All right, now we're going to get into less serious questions. Okay. What are some of your holiday traditions, Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Yeah, I was like, wow, that is a good one. Well, usually Thanksgiving, my parents live next door to me. So when the kids are around, whether it's this weekend or next weekend, it doesn't matter. We just move Thanksgiving. I always have Thanksgiving with mom and dad, and the kids are there. And I was just explaining this to my partner the other day in the car. She asked me this exact question. And Thanksgiving and holidays always used to be very serious in my family. And that's not fun. I don't know why. But just a lot of people around. And so anyways, I give my dad a lot of credit. Maybe about 30, well, probably more than that. Wow, I'm dating myself now. 50 years ago? Anyways, he decided for Thanksgiving, like prayer at the table, that with all the kids there and all the cousins, things like that, he just started saying, rub-a-dub-dub, thanks for the grub. And all the kids would go, yay, God. And ever since that, Thanksgiving's been great, because we all wait for that. And when you have friends that come over that don't know you, they're like, are you serious? Yes, we are. That's it. So anyways, I think that sets the tone for the holiday, feast, I guess. So, I guess that's the biggest thing on my mind this day, because I was prepping my partner for that.
That's awesome. What is your favorite Thanksgiving food?
I was going to say none of it, because I eat way too much in Thanksgiving. My mom is a fantastic cook.
We'll make sure she sees this.
Mom. Yeah, Mom. I love Mom's stuffing. And my son loves it too. So Mom's doing great on the stuffing. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Okay, ready for this one?
Yeah.
Would you rather cook the entire Thanksgiving meal yourself, or do all the dishes alone afterwards?
That depends, doesn't it? depends how the yay God went. Right? Did everyone start fighting? Do I get help? Like a little bit of help?
Nope.
Or cook it all? Okay. Here's
one man show.
Yeah. Here's the dilemma. I really like to cook. I cook once a week. My partner Barbara and I, we have a meal once a week that we cook together. I really like cooking. But what we do is as we cook, we clean the dishes, because nobody wants dish duty. That's really bad. So if that was the choice, I would cook everything and I'd clean as I go, because I don't want to be the guy that gets kind of nailed with all the dishes at the end, because that's not good.
That's very generous of you.
Yes, I would do it all. Stay out of my kitchen.
Both.
Stay out. Yes.
Okay. What are you thankful for?
Oh, wow. I have tons of things to be thankful for. Obviously, being in uniform, that's the obvious. I'm incredibly thankful for being in uniform. I love the Guard. It's my addiction. I tell that to everybody. I've had a fantastic career. it's been up and down. I talk to a lot of people about that. Sometimes when it's been on the down, it's been like I have the attitude that a lot of people have. But I happen to be surrounded by soldiers that are like, tomorrow will be better, or take a break, or what have you. So they kind of kept me. But I'm extremely grateful for being in uniform. I'm extremely grateful for my 2 kids. Cash and Pearl are amazing, and they're cool. Everyone says that about their children, but they're doing all the sports that I like to do. And I'm a single parent. I'm divorced, so they're also doing a lot of things with mom. But so I look at her children. They have the best of both worlds going on here. They have dad's world, they have mom's world, and they come between this thing. And when I love being a dad, I'm pretty grateful for that. So when I have the kids, 50% of the time, dad mode, focused, like full on, full throttle, for it. And then I met an amazing woman in all this, so I'm really grateful for her. And she has a whole world that she does, I know nothing about, so I have to step into this world. And I'm meeting a lot of people, from her connections and her part of the world, and things I would never step into because, we all live in these little bubbles. So I could talk all day about being grateful. I really am.
I believe you.
Yeah.
All right. If you could have any famous person, alive or dead, at Thanksgiving dinner for the yay God, who would it be and why?
My first thought is Jesus, right? Would that be appropriate for him? That's the first thing that came to my mind. The second is Santa Claus. Santa Claus would be a great guy at Christmas. Everyone would love him. I'd appreciate it. He's got like 30 days to fix the plan.
Right.
So he's going to see us grateful. He's got 30 days to go back and tell his helpers that, hey, those guys are pretty cool.
Is that just because you think you might be on the naughty list?
Who knows what happens the rest of the year.
Trying to butter Santa up?
But, that's a loaded question sometimes. But, right now, those are the answers.
Okay. All right. Now, this last one is the question I am really super excited about asking. Would you rather get chased by a wild turkey or by a wild reindeer?
Wow. Well, I could outrun the turkey. The reindeer, I'd probably have to turn around and go hand to hand.
Yeah.
So I'll take the turkey.
All right. Good answer. All right. So that wraps up my questions.
Yeah.
But is there anything else that you would like to share with our viewers?
Yes. I would like to say to our viewers, basically, soldiers in uniform, that enjoy your career. Like, maximize it. Whether it's 4 years, 40 years, just there's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days. I bet the good days are going to outweigh the bad, but just enjoy your career. We have one shot at this. And I've been telling a lot of soldiers that I really hope and I believe at the end of your career, you're going to look back and say, that was awesome. And you have the ability to make it awesome. So go for it.
Yeah, that's great advice. Well, thank you so much for
you're
joining
welcome.
me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It was awesome having you. So, and that's it for us.
That's fantastic. Next week, I'll do it again. Be a regular podcast.
For more information or support, please reach out to the Vermont Military Family Support Center's toll-free number, 888-607-8773. The preceding content does not constitute endorsement by the Department of the U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force, Vermont National Guard, or Vermont Military Family Programs of the organization's products and services contained therein. Further, the Vermont Military Family Programs assumes no responsibility for the consequences of using the products or services provided by the organizations or resources listed. Vermont Military Family Programs makes every effort to present our clients with reputable resources. We cannot guarantee the validity of said resources, and the use of such resources is voluntary.